Welcome back. Andrea, we missed you last time we met.
Oh, yes. You missed me.
You were on vacation. Well, we didn't do anything last week, right?
No, we didn't do anything last week. But you did miss me last week.
I did. Well, and then I was the week after that. I was crazy, and so it just we haven't got together in a few weeks.
You're supposed to be taking a break this week, but you're not.
No, because Trump said convention, and so my life got turned upside down. I feel like wow, that was a quote right there from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. My life got turned upside down. Okay, I'm stopping. Oh my gosh, did you have a great 4th? This was like the best 4th ever.
Yeah, we had a great 4th here in Reno. We actually, Eddie Lorton, who's run for mayor quite a few times, and he's a great conservative voice here in our community. He helped us bring back our 4th of July parade in Reno. We haven't had a 4th of July parade in like 15 years. And of course, we have one of the biggest, greatest pride parades, but we don't have a 4th of July parade. And I think it's also, I think there's a combination of factors. We have great veterans parades and things like that. But the city a long time ago was like, oh, 4th of July is not worth our time and it's too expensive. So all the patriots came together and said, baloney, we're having a parade. And they put on an awesome parade. Yeah, it was great.
Oh, that's a blast. We always have a big party every year at my house. We tried to cancel it a few years ago, and our friends were like, that's nice. Well, we're going to come swimming and we're going to shoot off fireworks, but you don't have to throw the party. And so
we're coming anyway.
Right. They're like, it's a tradition. And then I found out this year, my friends had to show me pictures. It's been 11 years we've been doing it. So I guess, yeah. And my kids are like, Mom, it's just what we do. It's all they've ever known. Mm-hmm. So we always have a bunch of people over and we cook out, we swim, we put up a volleyball net. Sometimes we do cornhole. And then we set up.
I love cornhole. We did cornhole in my yard too. I'm a cornhole fanatic and it drives my kids nuts. Because I'm like, let's go. It's cornhole time. Oh, I'm competitive.
Oh, I know. So
I can cornhole all day, girl. I get serious about it.
You talk smack to 5-year-olds about cornhole, don't you? You'll be no. We set off fireworks for like hours, right? It's so much fun. And so we did that again this year, but for the first time ever, after the kids they didn't really do sparklers. They were like these swords that were sparklers. I don't know if you've seen those.
That's cool.
And they had a lot of fun. But then we had like this monsoon come in. We thought it would like just pass, and it did not pass. Like, we're like, let's just go inside. We'll go back out, 20, 30 minutes maybe. So at 11:30 at night, everybody's still sitting around, and we're like, I guess we're not doing it this year. And so we're not.
At least you got some of it done before it came through. But yeah, Oklahoma weather is a little scary sometimes. You guys get weird weather.
I like the weather, right? Like, I'll be like, I've walked out of church services when they're like praying away a tornado. I'm like, I will not be a part of this prayer. I like the weather. I will go sit out and watch it. And
you like the storms. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I've done that. But it's great. I think it's magnificent. All the thunder and the lightning and the wind. But for the first time ever, so the way where I can sit from my house, I can see for miles every direction. And so we can sit in our front yard and see the fireworks in different towns and areas.
Oh, that's cool.
So we usually do it that way because I'm not a real big on a whole bunch of people concentrated in one area.
Yeah.
Especially the traffic. I'm not really a patient person. Mm-hmm. But I realized my 8 and 10-year-old have never experienced that town fireworks thing because I'm always busy avoiding the crowds. Yeah. So for the first time ever this year, a couple days before the 4th of July, because our town is so small, they did their fireworks. So we went to fireworks with them, and they did the music, and we bought the stuff from the food trucks, and they got that experience. And I just went with the mentality of it's going to suck when it comes time to leave, and I just have to deal with that. And it was okay, and it did. It was really awful leaving the upside down crazy. But they got that experience, and it was fun. And now they're like, we want to do this again next year. And I'm like, it won't be the 250th birthday next year. I don't know if I can do this. So I don't know. Myself in trouble.
I grew up in Lake Tahoe, right on the lake. And so going on the lake for Lake Tahoe is like that too. You can see multiple fireworks, and being on the water when the fireworks are going off, it's like it's overhead. It's literally people travel from all over it, but it's the most packed thing that you can go to. And if you go out there on a boat, which we used to do, you're not getting home till like 2, 3, or 4 in the morning, because the boats all have to go back in to their docks. And so the boat traffic is way worse than car traffic.
Exactly.
That
I've been there. And the boats are so many, they're like touching at some point of the day.
You're just using a stick to like not bump into each other, and you're going in circles to try to stay in line.
My grandparents, when I was growing up, they lived right on the lake in Illinois, and we knew you don't go out of the lake on the 4th of July because people are insane.
Yes, this is true.
We just did it. And then, of course, in my 20s, I was like, well, I got to go do that.
You were one of the insane people.
Only 1 year. I really don't like that many people concentrated regardless. I was this is not happening. But anyway, it was great. I love how America is, even
Happy birthday,
communist. Happy birthday, America. Even in communist California, one of my favorite videos is when during COVID they said it's illegal to shoot off fireworks, and so we saw all along the skyline of LA fireworks because Americans really do care, and it's beautiful.
They do it every year. I've been telling people I grew up, so it was Southern California. Then I spent my high school years in Lake Tahoe, but before that it was like the Valley, Nunes country. It is so red in California, so much more red than people realize. And it's so fun to see them when they say don't do something and they're like, no, we're going to do it anyway.
Absolutely. Yep. So shout out to our brigade leaders in California, Lisa Harden and Glenn Copeland. You guys are amazing. You guys do good work. And we do have patriots in California.
Amen.
The cities, like it is in every state, the cities are where the crazies are concentrated. Yeah. And then in the rural areas where people are in touch with nature, you're going to get more common sense and patriotism.
But they steal the elections like they do in my state.
Absolutely.
Even in LA, like you see, they're going over LA and everyone's lighting the fireworks off. There's a lot more conservative patriot people everywhere than they like us to think.
You can't convince me that even New York has voted for AOC that many times, that they brought in this Mondami. I don't buy it. So I agree with you. We need to look at the elections, but you and I are going to get sidetracked as we try to save the entire world and tell everybody what's wrong, because we have the answers.
One bite at a time.
One bite at a time. So we have somebody you and I both used to work with. She is a patriot badass that is now in the space. She was in the space of like medical freedom and trying to provide health care that made sense instead of just following pharmakia ideology. And I believe she still does that. She can tell us about that, but she's also now getting into the gender ideology and she's speaking common sense from the medical world. It's amazing. Dr. Crites-Bachert, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you. Good. Thanks so much for the opportunity.
Oh, it's great to have you on. So tell us, are you doing are you still in the space of providing medical care that is common sense and doesn't just follow protocols? Are you doing that as well?
I am, to a limited amount. I am licensed in all 50 states and DC. So I am a urologist and a pelvic reconstructive specialist. Had my own private practice right outside of Portland, Oregon for almost 15 years. COVID hit and I was kicked out of the hospitals because I refused to bend a knee. So I joined the medical freedom fight because of my 50 state licenses in DC. That makes me pretty valuable because we're a little bit of 50 state doctors are a little bit of a unicorn still. There are more of us now, but still there are very few. And so having said that, I have my own telemedicine company that I started. And as a result, I do that. But what that has allowed me to do, having my own telemedicine company, it has allowed me to focus in on and really hone in on speaking out against gender ideology, or should I say transgender ideology as it pertains to children. So that's what I've been doing for the last 2.5 years, so that I can, as you said so kindly, bring some common sense from the surgical standpoint, because to my knowledge, there are no other surgeons with my particular skills that are speaking out against transgender ideology, at least as it pertains to children. There are a lot of plastic surgeons, there are endocrinologists, there are pediatricians, things like that. There are a couple of general surgeons, but to my knowledge, nobody specifically trained to reconstruct the pelvis that actually can speak to the fact of actually having been trained to do these surgeries and chose not to do them because I choose to use my skills for healing. And I chose to have a private practice at the time focused on healing rather than ideology and virtue signaling.
So first of all, I don't think so. Being a surgeon or being licensed in all 50 states, I think you said makes you a unicorn, but I would say being a conservative in Portland, Oregon makes you a unicorn first, right? Like that's impressive.
She's like unicorn squared. This girl's like the biggest unicorn on the planet.
I'm saying, like, I love Oregon.
I'm no longer in Portland, Oregon.
Oh, my
she left. God bless her.
And I want to live there. Every time we go, I'm like, it's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Why?
Gorgeous.
And then he's like, she'll be mad every single day. There's not a chance we're moving to Oregon. I have to live with you. It's unfortunate because it is gorgeous. And most of Oregon, just like we were saying about California, is very conservative.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's the crazies. And the crazies in Oregon are really crazy. I remember when we all worked, well, you worked for a different branch of the same company, but we did an event up there. And I'm like, oh, Oregon, I want to go because I knew Antifa would show up. And they did. But I definitely wanted to be there because, they're concentrated crazy. It's impressive that you were a conservative in that. And what is your telemedicine? How can people find you if they want to check into your telemedicine?
Yeah, so my telemedicine is a 360 Pelvic Health Institute, so 360phi.com. We are open right now just in 10 states. We are actively expanding now, but we launched in 10 states, Texas actually being one of them. Florida, Texas, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, Oregon, Washington, Montana, and Hawaii. And so we are getting ready to open up in Arkansas, California, New York, New Jersey, Tennessee. Those are the next ones on the docket.
Like one of those people that are just like, that's amazing. You're like, oh yeah, we're in these states and we're just gonna go to all these states too. That's impressive. You use the word reconstructive pelvis. So that makes me want to cry, right? That's what you're fighting against. Like as a human being, as much as I say I don't like crowds concentrated, I actually do love humanity, and have a strong faith. And that creates a sorrow in me on a level that doesn't really have words, that we would even go to that level on adults. Much less children. Are you seeing children targeted on this, or is this
absolutely 100%? Children have been targeted far longer than people realize. And in fact, I was just at an event with you where I chronologically went through history with history from the Second World War. Just chronologically showing how the patterns have not changed. And the same I shouldn't say the same technology, the technology to actually target children was in place in the 1925 to 1930, because they were using punch cards at that time, a subsidiary of the US IBM corporation in Nazi Germany. It was actually before the Nazis took power. And so, yeah, they were actually using the punch cards to track the Jews and punch card technology. And they were also focusing on other targeted populations besides Jewish people. But let's just say, for the sake of all of this argument, the punch card technology to keep track of the Jews. And as I said, that was a German subsidiary of IBM. And, as I said in the lecture, the CEO of IBM sat on the board of the United Way, or I'm sorry, the board of the CEO of IBM sat on the board with Mary Gates, who is Bill Gates's mom. And we all know what happened with Microsoft, and we all know what's happening now. Microsoft is now one of the biggest influencers and developers of, continued monitoring technology. So there's no coincidence there that, this German subsidiary of IBM, partnered up with Microsoft, because at the time, Bill Gates' mom was sitting on the board and was just mentioning to the CEO, hey, my kid's got this startup shop in his garage, for software. And, we see how all of that has turned out. So in answer to your question, that's a little history lesson. In answer to your question, the technology has been there for a number of years to profile the children, because and to profile other populations, targeted populations. And how that fits in is, let's fast forward to COVID, and children were then taken out of schools and they were logging into their laptops to have class. Well, as part of all of that, children are now, and it continues now, that children are answering questionnaires about how do you feel today, and how do you, what is your mood? Well, that in turn allows a profile to be built of particular children. This is being stored. And if you don't let your child have chocolate cake and that makes them upset, and they put a little emoji that they're upset, that can actually trigger a call from the school counselor, or then further CPS if you are deemed to not be doing what you're supposed to be doing. That then, feeds into child trafficking. I mean, we could go down these rabbit holes forever. But in answer to your question, that's a long-winded way of giving a history lesson and saying that there is nothing new under the sun. This has been going on for a number of years. People just have not realized it. And they have just not realized how nefarious it has become. Because once those children are targeted, then you can employ things from 1940s MK Ultra, Operation Paperclip, because that's what we are seeing now in modern day propaganda and social media, which again, during COVID, that's where the transgender ideology really started exploding, because children were isolated and they didn't have the true social interaction that they needed. And the only thing they were left to do was play on the computer all day and join these chat rooms where creepy predators could influence these children and start preying on them and using mind control techniques. I mean, we see it every day in advertising.
And it's in the school system too. My youngest, so I started homeschooling after COVID. I hated the distance learning. My kids were younger, so I'm grateful for that. And so we started homeschooling at a great time in their development. But when my youngest was in kindergarten, they were saying that they were worried he had some developmental issues and possible, so then they said, we're going to give you a test to give him. And my husband and I freaked out on this test and said, where the heck did this test come from? Because it was asking questions to my kindergartner.
Yeah.
Questions like, would you pick up a hitchhiker? He's in kindergarten. He doesn't even know what hitchhiking is.
Exactly.
It was questions about, like, in the kitchen, would you do blah, 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 blah in the kitchen with certain things? I'm like, I don't let him in the kitchen. He's in kindergarten. He's not cooking himself meals on a stove. Like, very odd questions. It's hard for me to pinpoint. I remember I saved the screenshots because they were so alarming and odd to us.
I would love to have those if it
was from some of the educational materials. When you look, and this, and I know a lot of our viewers know this stuff, but some of the big textbook, education organizations, some of them are out of London and stuff, not just here in the US. They have all that infiltration in them. And it's like that totally, like you said, planned to infiltrate them, to control them, to get the parents out, to own your child, and then to manipulate their minds. None of it makes any sense. It's all very nefarious once you start digging into who the boards are, who owns these companies. It's the textbook manufacturers too. And I said, who made this test? and it was scary when I went down that rabbit hole.
Well, no, it is not scary. And I'm glad actually that you mentioned that, because I have a production company called Remnant Films, and that is exactly what we are exploring from the garden, starting with the spirituality of this nefarious intent and progressively seeing through time how this has progressed. You are exactly right about the school systems, because one of the individuals that we interviewed, and one of the individuals that is now part of our team and our research team, has been in the public school system for a number of years teaching sexual education, abstinence. She's the wife of a pastor, God-fearing woman. And she has told me, and which I have done, get these particular books. You're not going to be able to get your hands on them anymore, because she has been able to bring the receipts and show parents exactly where the sexual education has come from and where it has progressed through time to the books that they have now. So I have some of the old books that were used just for posterity, because they're going to be on the banned book list if you can even get your hands on them now. It just so happened that I was able to.
And
you can see how it has changed.
Yeah, the timeline you brought up too. I had some friends, good God-fearing friends of mine that were teachers in my kids' school, and in my community. They pulled me aside when they saw me becoming very loud and active mama bear over some of this stuff. They said, Andrea, I'm going to have to leave this job, because I'm going to tell you right now, I saw this coming before COVID. They were sending us to like education camps when we did teachers have to do a certain amount of like training and stuff over summer. They're required by the state.
Emotional learning.
Yeah, so they went to training, and they told me the training we were doing years before COVID, or maybe just even a year before COVID.
Yes.
It started setting up all these bells in these people's minds, because they said that all these alarms, because they're like, they were teaching us to get prepared for the transgenderism as teachers.
Yes.
But they were creating it in the education that they were giving the teachers.
That's correct. And, what's really disturbing, as I said, we are filming a documentary that explores all of this right on through transgender ideology, and interviewing some detransitioners and how the mind control and the propaganda and everything comes into play, the curricula in the school systems. And you bring up, who's sitting on the boards for the schools? Well, one of the things that we have discovered, and anybody can look this up, if you start looking at who the companies are that make the curricula, look who's sitting on those boards. It's all the same individuals. They are all in the same realm. It's the Carnegies, it's the Rockefellers, it's the Kennedys, it goes deeply. And what I can tell you is, as this person, our expert was talking about this on film during the interview, I was sitting off at the side with my laptop, because she had brought up a particular board, and who sits on this board, and who runs this board that makes the curricula. And I thought, well, now that's odd. That name sounds familiar. So I get on and I start looking it up. As it turns out, it is the same medical boards that I had to take. The same individuals are sitting on the boards of the medical school curricula. It trains your doctors, your nurses, your mental health specialists, and they are they are making the medical curricula. And we all know that John Rockefeller, and if the audience doesn't know that, John D. Rockefeller, revolutionized medicine with pharmaceuticals and petroleum-based pharmaceuticals, and pushed naturopathic medicine out of the way. And I'm an osteopath, so I'm a little bit of a chiropractor and a doctor and a naturopath, kind of all rolled into one, but I'm a very holistic practitioner. And so I know all of these different aspects, but I was really disturbed when I recognized that the same people making the curricula, influencing the school curricula, are also making the curricula for the medical schools and writing the board tests, because I had to go. What spurred me off was I had to go to a particular computer center to take my recertification boards. And it was this particular name. And that's what spurred me off. And come to find out, this is the same boards that are also influencing the medical curricula. So you see how all of this is fitting together and targeting the doctors and influencing the health practitioners, everybody in healthcare, and then filtering down also and influencing the children. And so I have a little bit of a unique on all of this. Not only am I trained in surgery, so I can expertly speak to surgeries and the complications as a result of these surgeries. But I can speak to it from a standpoint of history and who's influencing the curricula. So I can see it from both sides, and it is staggering. It is absolutely staggering. And if the general population thought they had some rabbit holes to go down, when our documentary comes out, I promise you, you will be even more flabbergasted at the information that we have to present, because everybody that we have interviewed can bring the receipts.
I mean, it's one thing that we've talked a lot on Freedom Brigades, because it was legislative in Oklahoma and it's happening all over, is them also trying to bring the doctors into the public school to do the same thing. Oh, it'll save you money, it'll save you time. We'll have great doctors right here on campus, and they'll do whatever needs to be done for your child's medical. And that is absolutely terrifying. Again, I'm a homeschool mom who never thought I'd be a homeschool mom. I work from home, and I thought my career would never allow me to be a homeschooler, but it became to a point where what I went through before COVID with the ineptitude, I'm in Nevada, we are the worst. We are like the worst state in the nation with education. So we've got kids that are graduating with like second grade reading level. And I'm thinking in my head, like, why are we doing this? Like, if we don't get control over our kids, I mean, we get all these apps to make sure that predators can't see them on the phone and stuff like that. But then we let them sit in a room with a bunch of strangers 8 hours a day, no cameras going, no third party. They're having one-on-one conversations with these teachers that have been indoctrinated, and with these doctors now that are supposed to know what's best for my child, and then they don't have to tell us anything. So what do you think about that? Because we've been fighting that on the legislative side with the Freedom Brigades. What are you seeing with the medical, with them trying to bring medicine into the public school system as well?
Well, that's the whole thing. Once the public school system gets a hold of your child, and once they get fed into the system, so to speak, for lack of a better term, and for instance, Child Protective Services gets involved, or not even Child Protective Services, but if the schools get involved, then at that point in time, you're almost down a path of no return, because if you're walking a very precarious line at that point in time, because if you don't comply, they can take your children. Because they can call in CPS, and they can take your children for not being affirmative and not supporting your child and accusing you of being a bad parent. If you take your kid out of the school system, they can also do the same thing. They can say you're not being affirmative, and they can issue a well child check by CPS. So we're walking this fine line, and that's where medicine comes in, because once the system gets a hold of the children, it is nearly impossible to get them back, because your child can be medicalized now without your consent. I mean, just look at what we're seeing happen in Oregon, and I happen to know where this is, because I know all of the biggest institutions. I worked with people from these big institutions in Oregon. I know exactly where this is happening. Having said that, we see what's happening in Oregon, where the mother cannot have access to her child's chart because her child's 13. And supposedly her child is able to consent to things, and we know from a medical standpoint.
Criminal. I'm sorry. That kind of stuff, that is, how did we get here as a society?
It has been gradual. It has been a slippery slope. And that is just like what Khrushchev said back in the 50s and 60s. Give me your children and I will rule your society in 30 years. You stupid Americans, you don't understand what's happening. We will never have to force communism on you, because you will welcome it in, because we will do it systematically, and we will indoctrinate you systematically to the point that you will be past the point of no return, because you will allow little things to happen at a time. And by the time you realize that, it'll be too late.
It's too late. And Dr. Crites, I know we've spoke to you before with Tom, and this is where the waterworks get with me, Charity. I'm like in tears when I hear her talk some of the specifics, and I know
I'm ready
we're like
to
a little.
You're ready to cry.
I know we're getting short on time. You talked a lot about the actual surgeries and how the kind of the horrors there. And I don't want to just scare people, but I do want them to know from you, from your professional background, what you've seen and why it's as grim and awful as and worth fighting for. I think that's what you say that I think is the most profound, is what you've seen as a doctor with these surgeries.
It's not all fun and games, and these things are not just easy fixes. Oh, well, okay, you have a complication and we go back and we fix it. So each individual that undergoes surgery averages 2.6 surgeries over their lifetime. I do believe that is very, very conservative, because I have taken care of the same sorts of complications, just for instance, in individuals that have not gone down the transgender pathway. So just for regular pathological conditions, dropped bladders, dropped uteruses, things like that. And sometimes it's nearly impossible to fix something just in 2 surgeries or 2.5 surgeries. It's generally a stepwise process. When you're talking about rerouting the plumb, entirely different. There was a meeting last week, actually, where some data from 2024 was presented, and that sexual side effects and urinary incontinence, so leakage of urine in individuals who have been medicalized with hormone therapy, namely testosterone, approaches 50%, if not more. And I do believe, from personal experience and personal opinion, that those numbers are very conservative, because it's very difficult. Those numbers are staggering to begin with, as well as a study from 2023, February of 2023, that revealed that upwards of 75% of individuals have sexual dysfunction, inability to have an orgasm, and permanent sexual dysfunction. Those numbers are staggering in and of themselves. But then further take a look at the fact that we accurately determine what those numbers actually are, because there's been so much fraudulent billing, because individuals, and children particularly, will be coded for medical code to get insurance to pay for it. They will have a medical code that says endocrine disorder. So that doesn't flag anything for gender dysphoria or anything like that. So you're unable to see the true reason why these children are getting hormones, because what the diagnosis is not representative of transgender ideology. That's how the medical system is getting around it, and how insurance and Medicare and Medicaid is actually paying for this. So when you can't pull those diagnoses, that's how you actually track things. So when you start pulling medical charts and you look at diagnoses, you're not finding any transgender diagnoses. So to actually have accurate numbers, to be able to track side effects and to know what's going on, is nearly impossible at this point, unless there's something put into place, and unless there are studies being done taking a look at all of these codes. But again, the numbers from 2024, the statistics from 2024, and even those numbers are staggering. Now, when you're taking in, for instance, dropped bladders and uteruses, if you were to present those kinds of statistics to them, or tell a man, God forbid, and no offense to men, but their entire identities revolve around their sexuality. So if you were to tell a man that you're going to have, or even they think that they're going to have some sort of sexual dysfunction because you're going to do a prostate surgery for prostate cancer, I have actually seen men die because they chose to not undergo a surgery because they thought and would not listen to me when I said, whoa, 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 whoa. No, these things are treatable. You're thinking in terms of surgeries from 30, 40 years ago. Doesn't matter. And they will not have a surgery if they think that it is going to affect their sexual function. These are adult men with cancer. Don't tell me that a child will sign up for testosterone and these sorts of surgeries with a 75% chance of sexual dysfunction in the long run, because they have neither the wisdom nor the life experience nor the brain development to make those decisions and fully understand what they are signing up for.
And it's not reversible. I mean, from what I know about the hormone therapies, it's not that you just stop taking it, you change your mind one day and you can put everything back. These girls that are getting these, their breasts removed, I mean, that impacts if they ever want to be mothers again. And that's not, you can't just get them put back on.
And you can't get a uterus put back in or ovaries put back in. You can't do that. And for boys, you can have testicular prosthesis so that you look like you have testicles again, but you will be on testosterone for the rest of your life because an orchiectomy, which is removing the testicles, completely eliminates your ability to make testosterone. So you will be on hormones and pharmaceuticals for the rest of your life. Even if you don't undergo surgery, even if you just go down the route of medicalization, you will be on hormones for the rest of your life. And eat and follow them. If they go a lifetime, and let's say they don't even but they go of transgender and they go through all of the surgeries and they're on hormones for the rest of their lives, each individual is worth up to $4 million over a lifetime. That's each individual. And that calls into question the Snoopy dance that everybody is doing and nobody calling out the elephant in the room about Texas Children's Hospital having a detransition clinic, because that's great and everybody's doing the Snoopy dance. But how far do you think that $10 million is going to go? And second of all, who are you going to get to take care of these individuals? I'm and one of the early members of an organization called Resilience Health Network, where we are a group of practitioners who have come together trying to facilitate treatment for detransitioners. So we are in of practitioners. If we're going to have a pipeline, practitioners know other practitioners. No. We can't find people to take care of detransitioners. So now you're going to tell me, and this is the white elephant in the room that nobody wants to address, who's going to take care of these individuals? Because you've got people that drank the Kool-Aid and medicalized these people under experimental medicine to begin with, because there is no algorithm, there is no protocol. And now you're me that you're going to force the practitioners to take care of these detransitioners when the practitioners didn't know what they were doing to begin with, and now they're even further not going to know what they're doing because there is no standard protocol to take these individuals back the other way towards some semblance of normalcy. So you can't just take practitioners and set up a detransition clinic and force people to take care of these of these detransitioner individuals. That is malpractice in and of itself. And yes, I said that. And I will go on record of saying that because I know the challenges that we have had as practitioners trying to find individuals to take care of these kids that were sold a bill of goods.
Well, and it's really a Frankenstein type thing. I mean, as horrible as you think it is, it's worse. Because when I talked to you before, you talked about what the surgeries actually look like, the specifics of it, and I just broke down in tears because I can't imagine wanting anyone. I don't want anyone in my life that I care for. I don't want anyone to feel that way, to feel that they're trapped in the wrong body, to feel like God made them improper, not right, and so they want to change something. I hate that anyone feels that way. But to go as far as what these doctors actually do to when they perform these surgeries, it is the most Frankenstein horrific thing I've ever heard.
Mm-hmm. It absolutely is. It is Frankensteinian medicine.
Yeah.
That is exactly what it is. And people can make jokes about it all day, and you can argue all day long. You know, activists will argue all day long. Well, people are born in the wrong body. Really, we're seeing this all of a sudden when over the last 5 years, we've seen more than a 200% increase in people identifying as something other than male or female. That didn't just happen. If this were a true situation, we would have seen this throughout time. We would all of a sudden see individuals 50, 60, 70 years old saying, thank God I can finally live as my true self, because now it's mainstream. But we are simply not seeing that. We are seeing the targeting of young adults, adolescents, and children. And there is a reason for that.
And it's not just guys that want to put on skirts, and it's not just adults. When you talk about the kids, that's something that Tom and I talk about on the show all the time. It's one thing if you're a grown man and you love to dress up as a woman and you say you identify as a woman. Okay, that's different. You know, you want to wear a skirt, whatever. Tom Renz is probably going to laugh when he sees you and all that. But, you know, it's okay. Now, when you're talking about children, it's not okay. And again, I always say I didn't know the sexuality of any of my teachers growing up. I think it's wrong to even, I say we don't have, you know, hetero day. We don't have proud straight day, because the kids in the school system and the young kids, they shouldn't even be thinking sexually at all.
Right.
Correct. Well, you know, and it's funny because as an adult, I reconnected with one of my elementary school teachers. And it's because my husband and I are divers. And I remembered as a kid, he was a diver. So we reconnected. And, you know, for the last number of years, we've gone on dive trips together. And so I've got a very precious relationship with him because I've gotten to know him as an adult. And we had a conversation where he just laughed because he's one of us. And he just laughed because I said, you know, when I was a kid, I had no idea of your politics. I mean, when you contacted me to hook up for diving and to get me and my husband, you know, and you saw we were divers, and you were just my former teacher, and now I've gotten to know you. Have you been like this your entire life? And he started laughing, and he says, yes. He said, Mr. Bosley and I both are, and have been. And I said, who knew? And I had no idea as a child that this was my teacher's politics.
Yeah, I mean, and we have I love the people. I love Jamie at Gays Against Groomers. She talks all the time about how she's a lesbian. She dates women. I think might be married now too, because last time I spoke to her, she was engaged. And she said, I was a tomboy. And I was too. I was a tomboy. It's like, you remember Mervyn's? I used to shop in the little boys section. You know, I played basketball, and I had mostly guy friends, and I wore the same outfits as they did.
I did too.
And I was a hardcore tomboy. And she says, whenever I've talked to her and we've interviewed her, she goes, Andrea, I can't imagine if my parents and I was in that culture and they tried to tell me that I was born in the wrong body. She's like, I can't imagine what my life would be like today, because I'm a proud woman who is attracted to women, but that has nothing to do. There's a lot of people in the gay community that have been fighting against this transgenderism stuff too. And they say, why are we talking about sexuality with children?
Correct.
That's not okay.
That's correct.
It's not okay. Well, guys, I have been thoroughly traumatized in this episode.
She didn't even get into the stuff in the surgery.
I believe you. I believe you. My heart is over here crying. I'm so glad Andrea has carried on the conversation. I'm just kind of devastated over here.
Yeah.
Dr. Crites, we'd like to bring you back on and go into this a little bit deeper.
Absolutely.
For your work. We look forward. Is it a documentary that you're doing or a movie?
It is. It's a documentary. So our website is imageunshaken.com. And we are filming a documentary, basically talking about all of this and showing the progression throughout time. It is backed up by every interviewee bringing receipts. It goes down rabbit holes that people just always thought were conspiracy theories. And when you actually sit in the room and listen to these individuals that bring these receipts, you know it's not just rabbit holes and conspiracy theories anymore. But we are actually going to give back to the community. So every donation that we get, and Andrea, I sent you the link for imageunshaken.com.
Okay.
Also our QR code and our donation. So if any donation links, so if anybody feels inclined or led to give and donate, we are going to give back to the community by making and organizing a conference to give parents and churches and any individuals who want the tools to combat this in their church and to address it in their church, parents, the information and the tools to take to the school boards and to help write legislation, as well as propaganda and the curricula and combating all of this. So we are organizing that. We have an organizational meeting set up in January to start organizing that conference that will be multiple times a year wherever we're needed, because we have amazing resources and we want people to be able to have their hands on these resources. And so every donation that we get will be given back to the community in that way. So, if your audience is felt so inclined and led by the Spirit to give, just know we will be transparent with where every penny goes. And it's not going to be to pay for salaries and dinners and things like that. It is going to go back to exactly what we say it's going to give everybody the tools that they need.
God bless you guys. Please,
Yeah, I appreciate
unshaken.com, and we'll put those links on the
Yes, we'll add the links to everywhere that the podcast lives. Thank you guys for joining us. We take back the Republic by you doing your part. We can't just talk about it. You can't just listen. You have to do your part. God put you on earth in this time for a purpose. What is it you're supposed to do? You can do it through the brigades. That's 4 hours a month of your time. If you take back your community, then we'll take back the Republic. We do this together. Go to freedombrigades.com. Thank you, Dr. Crites, and we will talk with you again.
God bless.
Thank you. Bye. Have a good day.